What it do, Internet? David Baugh here, and today we're going to be talking about the death of movie theaters. Let's get into it. Oh, as long as it looks good for the Internet. So Warner Brothers just announced that they are going to be releasing all of their movies both in streaming first and then in theaters simultaneously. Now that's a huge jump away from the traditional, basically 3-window deal. You get theaters, you get, video on demand, and you get basically DVDs and such as that. Now, DVDs are certainly going down. It is a pretty major break from where they were in the past, and honestly, I think that it's been happening for a while now. I remember when MoviePass was the thing, which if you guys were on MoviePass early in the day, it was pretty sweet. And I remember I was going to see a movie every single day. I got to see how the theaters were responding to that. I mean, I was going, peak times. I was going every single day. I was almost always one of maybe one or two people that were in the theater at the time, and it didn't look like there was anybody else around me. Even when we went and saw big, huge tentpole movies, we went and saw Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker opening night. There was a bunch of empty seats there in a movie that typically would be completely sold out. Now, I personally prefer to watch movies at home, and I know that's weird, being a filmmaker. A lot of people are trying to get into theaters, but to me, that's what movies really are, is that camaraderie that you can have with your friends and family. It's the, it's the being able to tell stories that, make sense and go forward. And, it sucks that there's not going to be that sort of gluttonous movie watching experience where the lights are dimmed and, there's certainly going to be a time and a place for it. Film festivals probably aren't going away because that's where a lot of people are purchasing movies from these days. But we have effectively a black hole of content that is needed. There's Amazon, there's Hulu, there's Netflix, there's Disney Plus just started up. There's a whole bunch of different avenues for a filmmaker to get their stuff across. There's not only Amazon Prime, but you can also just sell your movie on Amazon. You can put it on iTunes. You can do all of these things, and all of those different places are looking for the next big project and the one that's going to make their network a little bit more desirable, right? You don't really need theaters for that. Theaters weren't where you were making your money as a filmmaker. In fact, a lot of movies, it costs a lot of money to put them in theaters. You have to pay to get it all done. You have to mail your files around so that everybody can get it, because a lot of it is digital now. It's not just a thumb drive. A lot of times you have to give them the stuff in specialized formats. You have to give it to them and different things like that so that they'll be able to project that movie through their system. From there, it's not like it's just a DVD player, a Blu-ray player up there. So a lot of times that costs money. You got to advertise for putting your movie in theaters. You got to do this, that, and the other thing. So oftentimes it does not equal a success. They'll tell you the box office numbers, and a lot of times that's just pure ticket sales, or even sometimes it's ticket sales plus whatever they made on concessions, which can be pretty inflated. And even then, it's the filmmakers that are telling you oftentimes what it was making. It's often a marketing ploy more so than actual numbers. But you make the vast majority of your money after that window than you do any other time, right? Because video on demand, you may have a few diehard fans that yes, I'm going to see this movie in theaters. I'm going to show up, get my popcorn, get it all going. That may be 10% of the total sales that you make on a movie. After that, you're getting, where it was just a couple of, $10 for a ticket. You're splitting that in half a lot of times with the people that own the theater, or some movies are just never going to get a cut of that at all. They're basically doing it so that they can rent out the theater. So You put it up online and you're making $3-4 here and there from the vast majority of people because it's available to everyone at that point. You're gonna make far more sales that way with just the fuck it, let me pay a little bit of money and get it going, and then you can watch it in the comfort of your own home. I mean, it's pretty worth it. Lots of people have full-on projectors in their houses. I have a 55-inch TV here that's pretty decent. And you can do whatever you want, You can smoke, you can drink, you can have a full course meal, you can do whatever you want while you're watching it in your house. It's something I've always preferred, and that's when I'm thinking about making a movie and I'm thinking about who's going to see my projects, oftentimes that's where I think people are going to be watching it. That's what I'm thinking ultimately the viewer experience should be, is be with friends and family, have a good time. If you're in a room with a bunch of strangers, you got to be quiet and you got to not talk, and that is enjoyable. I'm not saying that it's not. I've certainly enjoyed a lot of the movies that I've gone to see in theaters, and we'll probably remember that fondly, going forward. But my best movie watching experiences were already at home, and I think that it's the way that our industry should be going. It's much cheaper, it's much easier. There's far less exposure to things like COVID-19, which, is obviously not going to be around forever, but there's far less likelihood that you will actually get to see a movie in theaters as opposed to afterwards. So I think that, I think it's an interesting step. I think the next step that's going to have to happen if this industry is going to go all the way over to that is that the Oscars need to start stepping up. At this point, if you streamed as opposed to putting it in a theater, I think there's a lot of restrictions on awards that you can get and things like that. Film festivals, for instance, don't want you to be putting your stuff out there otherwise. If they're going to have it play in your theater, or in their setup for the whole thing. So, I think it's just an interesting time to be a filmmaker. I think it's an interesting time to be a film goer. And I'm looking forward to what the future holds. And, that's all I had for you guys today. It was a pleasure as always, and you have a wonderful evening.